Welcome everybody to On the First Tee with JT. Hi, I'm Janice Thornton with JT Fitness and Golf. I'm an online personal trainer who works with golfers, and I love to enhance my golfers' golf game through fitness. I help with your strength, balance, flexibility, and mobility. So I also love helping my fellow entrepreneurs and business people that I meet, and when I find a business that I love, I want to share it out to my network. And I have found another one that I want to share with you. So we all know mindset is so important. But oh my gosh, I have my friend Kevin Martin here. He's with Positive Effects Coaching and Hypnosis. And he does things just a little bit different than many other mindset coaches. So, Kevin, welcome to On the First Tee with JT.
All right, Janice, thank you very much for having me here, and I really am excited to be here.
So, okay, I've had the pleasure of doing a session with Kevin also, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit at the end. But Kevin, okay, so you do mindset and you do transformational change techniques with your clients. And I want you to talk a little bit about what sets you apart from other mindset coaches.
Sure. Well, first of all, I have a background and experience for the last 20 years as a hypnotherapist and a neurolinguistic programming practitioner, NLP. And there's a lot of transformational change techniques within there and when I say transformational change, excuse me, when I say that, I mean that, change can happen just almost instantly within minutes and sometimes within seconds. And it's just incredible. So it's not just the knowledge of psychology. And yes, I do have that. But when I find someone, for instance, that's having a problem and they have negative self-talk, for instance, and they just keep on telling themselves they can't do this or they can't do that. I have a technique for that makes that go away in seconds. In seconds.
Which
It's not.
that's crazy because we did that actually with me, and well, I'll talk about that at the end. So people have to find out what we did. So how did you get into this occupation? You've been doing it, like you said, for over 20 years.
Yeah, how I got into it is really interesting. It has a little bit to do with my personal life, or it has a lot to do with my personal life, should I say. My wife and I adopted. We decided to adopt because we couldn't have children ourselves, and we said, let's adopt, let's give back, and let's take care of kids that don't have parents. So our first child was 5.5 years old when he moved in our house. And the unfortunate thing with him is that he had lived in 7 homes before us.
Oh.
And some of those homes weren't exactly great places to be in. The couple got closed down because of abuse on him. So when he came in, he had a lot of issues, and as would be expected, and we were trained somewhat to deal with those issues, but not to deal with the amount of issues and the kind of issues that he came with. So we had to do something we really didn't want to do, and go with therapy and drugs and try to handle these issues and trust the doctors and the therapists. Unfortunately, it didn't get better. It got worse. And by 10 years old, he was so bad that we were having him hospitalized every so often. And they said, you need to put him in a place where, for kids that have those behavioral issues, and he'll get better soon. So we did. We put him in, and therapy every day, and psychiatrists and therapists on site, and everybody's a licensed counselor. So we thought this was it. We got it. And unfortunately, it was very apparent very soon that they couldn't handle him very well. He started getting hospitalized even there, and he became the worst of the worst of the children in the two institutions he was in. And at 17 years old, his therapist said, "We can't do anything with him anymore. He's got to go on psychiatric lockdown." He was already on a laundry list of meds and had a laundry list of diagnoses, everything, every 3 and 4 letter acronym ending with a D that that is mental health has. He practically had them all. And along the way, I learned about this thing called NLP, and I learned it for business because it's great for business. It's great for your communications, and it's great for helping feel people feel easy with you and all sorts of things like that. But I also learned it's great for clinical. So I started exploring that, and I ended up hiring somebody that was trained from the same place I was being trained at. And then, believe it or not, 3 5-hour sessions, 3 5-hour sessions. We had it done really quickly because of the therapist didn't want to have it done. Everything went away. Everything went away. And
Wow.
I know. I said, I want to do this. I need to do this. I want to help people like this. And so I went back and I finished my training. Well, you never finish your training. I've been training ever since, actually. And I've been helping people like this for like my son, and with all sorts of problems for practically the last 20 years. And it's been so rewarding. It's been so,
Nice.
yeah. So
Well,
that's how I have a passion for it when I talk about it too.
that's awesome. Well, one of the things that we talked about, and actually we did when we worked together, was you did some eye movement techniques that you've developed. And talk about that a little bit.
Sure, sure. There's an eye movement technique that I learned that comes out of the NLP. It was called EMI, eye movement integration. And the philosophy of how it works and what it works on was a little different than what I have today. In NLP, we have these things called IQs, and so your eyes can go to different places: upper left, upper left, upper right, left and right, and then lower left and right, and they mean different things. If, for instance, if I were to ask you to think about what your bedroom looked like when you were 10 years old, and what the colors were and everything, more than likely your eyes are going to go up in that direction, and that's because you're getting a visual recall. And if I asked you to, what would it look like if there were pink polka dots all over the place? And that's assuming there weren't. Your eyes would go up in the other direction because that's visual construct. So there's a bunch of things for IQs, and the whole philosophy was when your eyes hit all those areas, if there were something in the problem that needed to be filled in there, it would fill it and solve the problem.
Interesting.
I know it worked, but I didn't find it to work that way. And so I did a lot of research with fMRIs, with eye movement and everything else. And I found out exactly how it works. And when I found out how it works, I was able to figure out what problems it could be applied to. And anything like those negative triggers. And I know you work with the athletes in golf, and I know athletes have triggers, and they come from all over the place. But in golf, you might go back to a fairway that you had a really lousy time with a couple of years ago, and all of a sudden see it, and you got a trigger, right? It's like, I don't want to be here. And so, yeah, triggers. Um, all sorts of different negative feelings, negative self-talk, even limiting beliefs. It's amazing. But it's like, for those of you out there that remember vinyl records, and I think most of us know what vinyl records are. But the cool thing and the interesting thing, at least when I was a kid, that little needle that floated above the vinyl record, if you pushed it, it made this really funny noise. It goes scratch right across. And
Yeah.
the thing my parents didn't like is the record wouldn't play again the same way.
Yeah.
And that's what the EMRT, the eye movement thing that I have. It You get a feeling that you don't want, you get a thought that you don't want, you get something in your mind that you've experienced you don't want. It can't play it the same way again after we do it. It will never play the same way. It's based on neuroscience. So that's the EMRT, and how I apply it is many different ways. People come to me for all sorts of different problems. So one of the things that's very common is we all seem to have these beliefs around our problems. And if you've been dealing with a problem for a long time, one of your main beliefs is nothing will take the problem away. If you've got that belief, then no matter what you do, that problem's going to have a hard time going away.
Right.
So, matter of fact, I learned that there are other ways to change limiting beliefs, and there's a NLP technique. It works, but takes about 5 to 7 minutes. My technique takes 90 seconds, as you experienced.
Yeah.
Um, I learned that someone who was running an addiction clinic down in Florida, once he started getting people's beliefs around their drug habits changed, their uh, their rate of success changed instantly. And they were able to help so many more people in much shorter time because they took that belief away that said, I'm always going to be an addict, or it's so hard to get over the addiction, or whatever the belief was. When they worked on those beliefs, those limited beliefs, and they fostered new beliefs, resourceful beliefs, then the addicts there was so much higher success rate on getting the addicts off of what they were on, and it's amazing. So I apply that to what I do. I don't work specifically with addicts. I work with a lot of other issues. So I apply that to what my clients bring to me.
Cool. That's awesome. No, I know when we talk, so I haven't played golf yet because we were targeting some things during my golf game, so I won't find out till Saturday, like how things go with that. However, I was doing a one-on-one with another lady, and one of the things that you and I talked also about for business wise for me, she and I were chatting about, and I remember I had a negative comment when you and I were talking. We did some of the eye work, and then when I was talking to doing my one-on-one, what I typically would have said didn't come out that way. It came out what we worked on, that it was easy, not hard. And I was like, oh, that worked. That is so cool.
Isn't that cool? You know, I know I do this work all the time, but it still fascinates me. And what is really cool, it's not that I help you facilitate it. It's really cool is that the mind works in these incredible ways. And all we need to do is figure out and discover how the mind works. Usually we are at the affect of the mind working in a not so good way, and that's when we might. It's okay if I still continue using golf examples.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you have a big tournament or a big game coming up, and you know it's important to you that you're going to do reasonably well and stuff like that, but you got something in the back of your head that's worrying and saying, "Geez, I hope this doesn't happen to me. I hope I don't mess up. I hope I don't get sick." Whatever it is that you're hoping doesn't happen, okay, your mind will do everything in its power to make sure it does because you're thinking about it.
Yes.
You're thinking about it so much. It doesn't know that you're thinking about it, that you don't want it. It just knows you're thinking about it. And that's how fascinating it is when you learn how the mind works. So you could, on the other hand, be thinking about how awesome it's going to be when I get through this game and I will have done so well. And you could have all that in your head, but instead you might have, oh, geez, I hope I don't mess up. I hope this doesn't happen to me. I hope that doesn't happen to me. Either way, your mind's going to go, this is what you're thinking about. This is what I'm going to help you about because I am your servant.
Exactly. They do say what we think about is what we ended up attracting, and that's exactly where everything goes. So you better think positive things instead of negative things, that's for sure.
Yeah, and that's just how it works. And I could, you know, if we had a time, we were doing something more in depth. I'd tell you about the reticular activating system and a bunch of other things about how the mind and the brain really work together. And it's just, you know, the bottom line is your subconscious mind is there to help you, protect you, but it doesn't always know what's right because a lot of the foundation comes from when you were a kid, and what was good back then for a 5-year-old isn't exactly good for maybe a 30-year-old today.
Exactly. Well, Kevin, how do people get a hold of you? What's the best way?
Sure. You can get to my website, which is www.pause effects, short for positive effects, pause effects, POSEFFECTS.com. You can go there and there's a form to request something with me, or you can call me on my number 978-770-1460. And more than likely, if you want to have a chat, I'll send you a calendar link, and you'll just get on my calendar. And we'll have a chat. And this is exactly how Janice and I, how we
Met.
met. Right? This is exactly how we met. So yeah, it's easy to get a hold of me.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Kevin, for being on the first tee with JT. Glad to have you here. Everyone out there, give Kevin a call, get on his website if you want some mindset work done for you, especially if you are an athlete. You are going to want to talk to him because he has some fascinating techniques to help break through any blocks that you may be having. So everyone, have a fantastic day. Thanks, Kevin. Thank you very much.
Thank you. This has been a lot of fun. I really appreciate being here.